Yeah.
Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My special guest today, Mithu and Shammi Malik. The restaurant is Musaafer. Just won a Michelin star. You can't get in, so don't try. No, try. Get in. They are busy, but give them a night off one of the nights to go celebrate their Michelin star. Congratulations, both of you. Welcome back. I'm opening the door now. I'm at Musafir and I see your smiling faces, the two owners. What do you have in store for me? What's my experience going to be like?
So when you step in, you've just stepped into our reception lobby. Well, I won't say it's a big space. I won't say it's a small space, medium-sized lobby, but it has this. It's overwhelmingly put together with a lot of elements. We have beautiful chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. We actually have paintings which are reproductions of paintings by a very famous Indian artist called Raja Ravi Verma. And they're hanging from the ceiling. If you look up, you would see that. We have a beautiful wallpaper covering the entire walls of the reception area and then the passage that walks through, which is designed by Sabyasachi, one of the very well known and well respected Indian designers. We have a huge painting, which is set on a Persian carpet on the wall behind the reception, and it's the painting of Maharani Chinmabai, and we have a story of her being a women's rights fighter, and so we have her there.
Mm.
Lots of beautiful plates that surround that painting. So and we have a whole array of mirrors on one side of the wall. So it's a very busy, yet at the same time, really warm and kind of, where do you look space.
Yeah.
And
What
your
are the
greet
colors?
is
Yes, and then
What?
obviously there's a wonderful warm greeting of Namaste, welcome to Musafir. And then we lead off from the reception area. We walk through a fairly tight-ish passage, which was very intentional. Also, a very, very busy passage. It has the same beautiful printed wallpaper. It has two huge paintings on one side on the right-hand side, which are set behind two four windows, so to speak. So you feel like the Maharaja and the Maharani are actually sitting just in the other room behind the window and looking at you as you pass by. And there are beautiful inverted lampshades, which were all custom made. So it's like a galaxy of lampshades instead of stars as you walk through. And then when you come to the end of the passage, the intent again was that you just wowed by the enormity of the space that comes in front of you. We have a column of high wooden arches that are running absolutely at 90 degrees to where you kind of end at that passage. We have
Why
a
did
beautiful.
you want it, if I might interrupt here? You said it by intention, it opens up and it's vast and you wanted that and that was an intention of yours. Why is that? What did you want someone to feel like that?
creating that wow factor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like you've stepped somewhere where you really need to just stop and take it in. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm just walking through this into another room, into another room. It
Right.
was that you actually stand there and you take it all in. And you go to India and you're going to say, wow. So we wanted people to say that when they came to the to our restaurant. We have a very cute wine room nestled right next to the arches, the inspiration of which was from the tradition of messenger pigeons, which all the kings in ancient India used before the advent of the postal
Mail.
system, where the homing pigeons would have this little sort of scroll that the message was written on, which was put in a little tube tied to their feet, and then sent to the neighboring kingdom, and then they would find their way back with the answers. And so what we have created in the wine room is a beautiful pigeon coop inspired design at the bottom, and it has these lovely blue tiles, and it has it's all made out of wood, and it has beautiful wicker and rattan work as well. It has a whole display of wine bottles up top, and then it has these beautiful birdcage lights, which kind of signify, the pigeons and the cages. So that's an interesting, facet that we wanted to highlight, the history and story behind that. And then you walk through two lounge rooms, which are, just low seating where people would chill and relax. And we have beautiful black and white prints on the wall, which showcase India over a time period. And then you walk into the center space, which we call the Angan. So Angan essentially means a courtyard. And Indians in the process of construction, we follow the ancient Indian science of Vastu, which says that the center of any house should be empty. It kind of gathers in energy from the positive energy, and it lets that positive energy flow through the entire house. So the center of the house should be light and should be bright and should be open. That's how traditional homes were made in India.
And the inspiration of that room.
So the Angan was designed because of that, and then it has a black and white, beautiful checker floor. The inspiration of which was from the Lake Palace Hotel, which is a very famous. It was a palace used by the king in Rajasthan and converted into a beautiful Taj property hotel. And we stayed there for our 25th wedding anniversary, and they have this lovely area, also like a courtyard, which has a beautiful black and white floor, where in the evenings guests gather around to see
a live performance,
dancers and singers. So, and if you look around, we have a whole sort of arched three sides around the Angan are beautiful arches with lattice work balconies up top. So you actually feel like you're, in the courtyard of a palace. We have, as a part of the Angan, but one step up is our bar, a beautiful, huge bar right in the center of the restaurant. It is made out of brass, so black and gold.
The shelves, yes.
And the shelves, yes. And then the front of the bar is actually made out of sheets of tin. And it's a form of art, and it's called chatai work, where they have the workmen have really small hammers. And so the design, and we actually chose the design. It's an elephant, and on the elephant has a cloth on its back, and on that cloth is the logo of our company, which is a spice route company. So each of those panels, probably 4 feet by 4 feet, has so they take these hammers and they just hammer out so that the pattern kind of stands out like relief work, and then there's all this hammering that happens on the edges. So it's a beautiful all silver patterned bottom part of the bar, which is lit up with an LED, and you can get to see that. From there, we walk into 3 steps up ahead of the Angan is our
the most talked about room, yes.
I guess the most spectacular room. It's called the Sheesh Mahal. Sheesh Mahal actually means Palace of Mirrors, literally translated. And the history of that is that, again, kings in India always had this one room which was used for, of course, other than showing off, it was also used for entertainment. And it always had various designs, but the one commonality was that it had to have lots of mirrors. And the reason probably being twofold. One, of course, if you're seeing this gorgeous dance performance, and then you see it reflected like 1 million times in the mirrors around the dancer, that just elevates the experience. And then also the women from the royal household were not actually allowed to sit. We had the parda system where women would be behind the veil, so they were not allowed to sit with the royal male members. And so they had their rooms, which obviously could also not be directly opening into the room, because then people could see them. So they would always be on the sides. But because of the mirrors in the Sheesh Mahal, they would always have a view, no matter which side their viewing room was located, they would have a view into what was happening. They could be able to see the dancers as well. So we have more than 250,000 pieces of hand-cut mirror and hand-painted panels in this room.
Engraved.
Yes.
Marble, yes.
Yes, and it was made in Rajasthan by a family which has done this for generations. And it was built on a frame. It was fabulous to see that. They would send pictures and videos to see that, and then it was disassembled and brought here and then reassembled here.
Wow.
So that's the Sheesh Mahal. The most, I would say, one of the most requested areas for seating at Musaafer. From there, we come to the other side of the restaurant. You know, we as we came through the passage, we walked straight out. Now, we go back, retracing to that when we stepped out of the passage into that vast space, and we turn left, and we have an entire other section of the restaurant. So we step into now what we call the traveler's room. There are two main highlights. No, well, not more than two, but the two that start at the beginning of this room. To your left is a floor-to-ceiling feature wall, probably 16 feet by 20 feet. The entire wall is covered. It has panels of brass work that is called Dokra art. It's a traditional form of making wall panels, and it's only done in 3 states in India. It's a very ancient form of, they use the wax boring technique to make these figurines. They obviously depict kind of everyday life. So you have beautiful scenes, from wedding scenes to cooking scenes.
To a bullock cart.
Yes, to animals. So these were, we hired artisans, local artisans. We gave them measurements of what we wanted, and then they were custom made for us. And so you have these brass panels, and they're interspersed with beautiful brocade fabric panels and lattice work. So, and we have, against this backdrop, we have tables which are black and white mother of pearl tables, and seating for mostly 2 to 3 people. Then across on the other side of the wooden columns, we have a huge chef's table, also probably 20 feet long, single log of wood. And overlooking that is our pastry window, just because it's so artful what the creations that they make there. And above the pastry window is actually a utensil rack. So that was also something which was fun to highlight, because it's not a very old, I mean, it probably started in the olden times, but up until when we were growing up, dishwashers were and still are, for a large diaspora in India, not something that you find in homes. And so in each home you would find on this wall above the sink a beautiful, well, it was usually made out of steel and practical rack. You would have this rack where you could, you know, wash and stack your plates and put your glasses and hang your spoons. So we have again made it sort of custom made it to our space, but it's a beautiful utensil rack. We had it electroplated with gold. And so you have hanging spoons, and you have the plates, you have the very typical pans that we use in India. So all of that is on that one wall, which is above the pastry window. And then we also have a very big feature element in this room, that is our Musaafer. It's a huge statue of the traveling man. You know, Musaafer translates to traveler. And
there is a story behind that as well, that in one of the states we were on a journey on, I do remember we were going to this one town which was in the interiors of this state called Rajasthan, and to learn this recipe of making this meat dish called lal mas. And we saw this shepherd on the freeway with his flock of sheep, you know, and I told Mithu, I said, hey, why don't you just come off the car? I'll go park ahead and I'll take pictures as you walk along. And so we took a lot of pictures, and then we all said, hey, why don't we just get this guy into a real
To
life
be the
Musaafer,
Musafir,
you know.
because he had this stick on his shoulder and he was walking. He didn't care. He was blocking the whole road. But so then we hired a young sculptor who's actually a presidential award-winning sculptor, and so he made this beautiful statue. I love the expression on the Musafir's face. There's kindness. There's the gentle look. There's a weary look. So it's like a person who has seen the world, but at the same time happy and content. So that's kind of like our big feature of the traveler's room.
Yeah.
Then we walk into our private room, which is a very simple room. We wanted something understated. It has beautiful lattice work tiles on the floor in a mustard and white. It has 3 huge panels of antique mirrors, white chiffon curtains. It has a beautiful arch at the back, which has lattice work again, a cabinet at the bottom, which has lattice work, and then lovely patterns on the ceiling. So that kind of completes our tour of Musafir. We also have a gorgeous patio where we have beautiful day beds with white curtains and sort of like bolsters and a deep seating. And we have the same bar that also extends out onto the patio.
Well, that was really quite a tour, and sounds like it's the 8th wonder of the world there. Musafir. It sounds like, wow, you put a lot of thought and detail and story into your story.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've worked up an appetite, so I'm ready to sit down and order an old fashioned, Shammy's old fashioned, and eat. Thank you. That was really great. And I wanted the listeners listening right now, that was such a great description. Thank you. The listeners that are hearing the story of Musaafer and your story, the chef in our first episode talked about how he cooked for you, and then you all went out afterwards and talked about your vision and what you wanted to do. And he took 100-day, or he proposed to you 100-day travel in 29 of the states in India.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, like you're going for a job interview and then you come up with I've got to go do this. And I think it's important to the restaurant. How did you feel when did he propose that, or did you propose that to him? How did that
I
come
think it all came together. We like Mithu said that when we were putting this concept together, we wanted India to be represented in its entirety. Right. And I remember sitting together and saying that, hey, the only way this can be done is that, we have a chef and he travels through India. And when we say travel through India, it means the interiors of India as well. You know, the seed of street food recipes, home chefs. And then when we
real Musaafer.
Yes.
Yeah.
You needed a real Musaafer.
Yes. And when we met Chef Mayank, because we did a couple of interviews with different chefs in this kind of soul search for the right fit. And, just before, like Mayank mentioned, before even going out in the evening and chatting, what he presented to us was just exactly what we were looking for.
Yes, absolutely.
There was diversity in the flavors. There was not just one Northwestern frontier or a Southern Indian food. He had a whole array. I think it was a 12 or a 14 course meal. And we were sold. He said, this looks like this is going to work. So
the flavors were spot on, and like we had visualized, Shammi loves to use the word making Indian food sexy, but that's what our one of our aims was, that it has to really be like this modern day techniques that people are using and any other cuisine. It has to be just like that. So, and Mayank, when we did the tasting with him, he was exactly on the same page. We had some very interesting plating. We had and of course what I think really sold him to us was that the flavors was so spot on, because
Yeah.
that's something you can never, you can work on a lot of things, but if your hand is not there for,
Right.
right proportions and flavors. And so yes, so that was, we were really pleased. We knew it right. I mean, I think not even maybe halfway through the meal, we knew that,
Right.
this was going to be
Your
what
guy.
we wanted.
And then the chatting, in the evening, the background and his passion, it just all
Yeah.
came together, and I'm sure he must have liked something in us as well. But yeah, I think we were very fortunate because Chef Mayank, beyond being a great chef, is a very passionate person. He's a big history and a geography buff as well. So it kind of,
Yeah.
the story of the travel, it just kind of,
And it has
came
been
together.
evolving, I think, ever since,
Right,
with
right.
Musaafer, with
Yeah.
seasonal menus, with chef tasting menus coming in, and with it's also wonderful how he gives a lot of opportunity to his team. They have
Mhm.
brainstorming sessions together, and he includes them in recipes, and so it's been a wonderful process to see his growth as well,
Yeah.
along with the vision for Musaafer.
Yeah. I told him in the interview that he was very lucky, and he knows this, that he met the two of you, and that this vision that you have, and that what he brought to it,
Yes.
was supported. You guys support
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
staff. I wanted to thank you. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back for our final segment. We're going to talk about dessert. We're going to talk about New Year's Eve, what's coming up there. We're going to talk about the new launching of the winter chef tasting menu. We're going to do all that in about 5 minutes. So don't go away.
Thank you.
And just wanted to thank you, Mithu, for giving me that tour. That was a beautiful tour. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And I hope I'm able to do that in person someday with you.
Yes, I hope so too. Okay, so keep up with everything that's going on at Musaafer at musaaferhouston.com. You can go to their Instagram and their Facebook and sign up to be alerted for things that happen there. There's a lot going on. It's Musaafer Indian Restaurant, Houston's premier destination for Indian cuisine. They're honored to receive a 1-star designation from Michelin Guide at the Houston Michelin Award ceremony a few weeks back. And you can find more on Musaafer online at Musaafer Houston, Musaafer Houston, on all the socials. We'll be right back.